Good evening and welcome to this edition of The Three Good Generals on P Gurus and on Gunnershot and Strategic Frontlines. Today, Mr. Sree Iyer is not joining in because he's en route from USA to India. So I'm standing in his place, and with me are, of course, General Narayanan and General Dushyant. We are in full strength minus our, pitch curator. Okay, in cricket terms, the pitch curator and the umpire is missing. So one of us as players will take over the job, and I'll be taking it over. Right. But having said that, uh, will US attack Iran? That's the question we are going to discuss. And if not, what are the other paths to go? But let's put certain things in the context. Today is probably the 18th on the 19th day in where Iran has been going through whatever it has been going through. Okay. And and inflation is rampant. Currency has gone to 1.5 million per US, 1.5 million real to one US dollar. A lot of deaths have happened, everything. And yesterday or day before, Trump came out, his help is coming, and this and that, and all that. Today morning, he says, no, there's no more killing, so protesters, we are not going to do anything. And today evening, there's some tweet or whatever from Iran which says Trump has spoken to someone and assured that he'll not attack Iran. So all these three shades are on. But uh, Trump might be saying something and he'll do something, because I always believe that Trump, you have to see what Trump does and what he says. Having said that, we'll take this discussion up today in the evening in two parts. In the first, we'll assess what's the state of Iran, because based on that assessment is what you can do next. And then we'll see what Trump can do, can't do, whether regime change is good, bad, or ugly, and then how does it affect India. So first, we'll go in for a assessment of the situation, right? Because that is the crux of the whole story. So I request Jan Dushyant, over to you, your views and your assessment of what the current state of play in Iran is. Over to you.
Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity to assess the situation in Iran. Well, we have been talking about Iran on various platforms for the last, I think, 5, 6 days. All three of us have been very active because we are in demand. So, on the first occasion, I would say that as far as Iran is concerned, I have a mixed opinion, and there are few reasons for it. Its economy is in a bad shape, and the reason we all know that it is because of continued sanctions for over so many years that slowly and steadily its economic condition has worsened. It has resorted to all kinds of going circumventing the sanctions to sell its oil. It is dependent very narrowly on China and Russia and few other countries. India withdrew purchasing oil a few years back after the sanctions were put by Trump. So therefore, economically they are in a bad state. You refer to it also. $1 into 1.4 million real is something I can't imagine as to how people must be buying their food, how they must be clothing themselves. So therefore, there is a problem there. Now, the second issue, which is about the protests. If you compare the protests of 1979 and the current protest, there are some similarities and there are some differences. Some ticks have been made, but some ticks have not been made. As far as 79 revolution was concerned, it was being led from across by Khomeini in a very intimate manner through clergy, through religious preachers, etc. Also, the business community was deeply involved in it. There was no Gen Z in those days, so therefore, it was kind of a revolution which was being undertaken by the common people, and in the end, the military, which was under Shah at that time, also succumbed and gave up the action to counter these protests or revolutions. I would call it as revolution because 1979 was referred to as a revolution. What is different in this one? Difference in this one is that it is also coming from an economic perspective, which is very, very compelling. But there is no religious overtone. In the previous one, there was a religious and a nationalistic overtone. Here, that is missing. And I feel that is a very critical aspect of most of the Islamic countries for a tilt toward the regime change. So that is one difference in my view, I feel is there from the last one. The second difference which I feel is that in the current protests, the IRGC has stood its ground. That means it has actually come very hard. It was given a total free hand, and the last count, what are the assessment is about 2,000 people killed. That's the assessment which is coming out from Iran, and so that's a large number. But because initially Trump had said that I will intervene in case if protesters are killed, etc. That did not happen. I think the IRGC got the upper edge, and the people probably had this belief that look, the US is not likely to come in, so therefore the protests have petered down. Whether they have petered down permanently, that's an issue which we can debate subsequently. But the current condition is that the protests have come down. How do I? And the third thing, which is very important, we must know about it, is that Khamenei's support base is still very, very large there. Now, on this issue, there have been some internal communications which are coming from Iran, which confirm this thing. We had a podcast on this through a Iranian expert who said this thing that there is still a large swell of support for Khamenei as far as his power base is concerned. I would also like to add to it that I was in some kind of a touch with a professor from a Iranian university, Mr. Syed. I asked him a question that how's the situation in Tehran? I didn't get a reply for about 4 5 hours, but later on I got a reply from him, and he said thanks for asking that question. But initially we thought there were few protests on the ground, but subsequently these protests have petered down, and as of now things are all well. Now it may be a one end of the fact that he was a professor, probably he's living in a very, very safe environment, so therefore he's not getting the hang of the things on the ground. But definitely there is a large section of the society which still is not supporting the protests. Only the Gen Z which has come in, unlike in Sri Lanka and Bangladesh where the army gave away. So that difference of army giving away to the protesters has not happened, and that has resulted in the protests petering down. So as of now, I see a very tense situation in Iran, which is on the verge of it can be exploited by either side. I think it is waiting for a push. Whether this push is coming from Khamenei's side to get control of the entire Iranian internal situation, or the Americans do something which is likely to encourage the protesters or encourage the Gen Z to come forward out again. That will take a little more of an effort from the United States of America or Trump. I'm just giving you the situation. I'm not in favor of A or B. What we are going to be in favor of, which situation, that we can discuss in the second and third round. So this, to my mind, is the overall situation as of now, ripe to be exploited by either side, more so by the West and the American, especially because of the large presence of Mossad, and I would say even CIA supported, which is still there in Iran, and which is actually seeing, like the Israelis say, that if they want to destroy if they want to kill Khamenei, they can kill Khamenei anytime. So there is this upper advantage to the West, but the situation, in my view, is it can tilt either side.
Thanks a lot. The situation can tilt either side. Rajiv, all yours. Your
Uh,
assessment.
while I agree to most of what he has said, yes, it is a tricky situation. But uh, what we have to remember, we talk of revolution, regime change of 79, but it began in 78.
Yeah.
Started in Jan, suppressed, and then from August onwards, it caught steam till finally in Jan, the army asked the Shah to vacate. And in, I think, 16th January, if I remember, he flew out. And then Khomeini came in and the regime change took place. And like he correctly pointed out, who is the figure today? There is no figure that is there today. And in Shah's time was the army and the Sawak. But here they've created a different structure. It will be a
Yes.
surprise to many that Pezeshkian, despite being the president, he is not the supreme commander.
Yes.
The supreme commander is the Ayatollah. Under him is a council of 12 high
Mullahs.
priests, 5 mullahs, high priests. They are the one who dictate what is to be done. To my mind, the parliament is just a rubber stamp. Can be anywhere. That is number one. Number two, in the overall structure, there is a general staff department, something like the joint staff or the CDS, and there is an MOD. The MOD only looks after the logistics and administrative part. The operations is controlled by the general staff department, under which is the army, the armed forces. The IRGC reports directly to the Ayatollah. IRGC is the Ayatollah's army, armed forces, their military, and he has 8 departments or pillars, as they say. 5 primary. He has a ground force. They are spread out in all 31 provinces. They have a presence in all 31 provinces, deep presence. Then there is aerospace, missiles, drones, space. IRGC gets the first lien on any new weapon that comes. All these missiles and all is not controlled by the army. It is controlled by the IRGC. Then they have the Quds force, which is external intelligence and covert operations outside. Then you have a navy, which is the main coast guard, which is controlled by IRGC, not the Iranian navy. And you have the paramilitary, which is the Basij. And the 3 secondaries are like our IB. They have an intelligence, which is a counter espionage. Then they have an economic wing, and they have, like the Zhongnan High in China has a separate guard. Similarly, they have a separate Tehran security guard, which defends the mullahs out there. Now, this has not broken. The army itself, which has armed forces itself, which has army, navy, air force, and air defense, have not broken as yet. The Basij have not broken as yet. So, unless they break, overthrow of the regime is not going to be so simple.
Yes.
That is point number one. Number two, it is not that after 79, this is the first time it is happening. No. 2009, June 2009, when Ahmadinejad got his second term, there was tremendous people had come out on the streets against it for vote chori. I use the current term, vote chori. There were certain provinces where the voting percentage was more than 100%. It was so evident. And the people who were the opponents to Ahmadinejad, one was an ex-PM who was the PM of Iran from 81 to 89, and during that period and beyond till 92, the other one was the speaker. They provided the leadership. It carried on for almost till about September, October, when it was crushed. And these two figures since then are in house arrest. The entire family is in house arrest since then. So that is 2009. 2017-18, again on similar economic policies, and it's a damn coincidence. It also began on 28 December 2017. Exactly the date this time. But again, like it was in 2009, at least it carried on. Like I said, they suppressed it by September, October, but it carried on till about Jan-Feb 2010, it petered out. IRGC, Basij and others didn't break. The 2017-18 one barely lasted till about 16-17 January the next year. There were no leaders. Ditto today. Who's the leader? If US says, I would like to bring Shah, that Reza Pahlavi, Shah's son,
Credibility is
will he
not
be
there.
acceptable? If he has to be acceptable, he has got to walk the talk inside Iran.
Absolutely.
He can't be sitting in US and say that I am supporting you. He can't do what Ayatollah Khomeini did, because he had all his people, like Dushyant had said, in every province working with him. Who's working with him? An odd flag you see during the protest of the Shah of Iran's time, the flag which was there of Persia. Otherwise, nobody is supporting him. So the question becomes, can it last? They're getting a breathing space. Why do I say they're getting a breathing space? The Fifth Fleet has no aircraft carrier. And the countries around where the American bases are refuse them airspace to do anything from their base, because they are worried that Iran has the reach of missiles. So till the USS, what is that, Abraham Lincoln, which has started from Manila, till it reaches here, I think USS Norfolk, from Norfolk, USS Theodore Roosevelt, and one more has also started. He's planning to bring, but we really don't know. The USNI has not yet laid out where it is coming, but we know for sure that USS Abraham Lincoln CV-72 is coming. With the complete battle group is coming in. It will take him more than a week. Will they be able to hold out for that week? That's the $1 million question. So it is, and I forgot, the next one after that was the famous Mahsa Amini case of the hijab case. That was as violent as this time, but it got suppressed. So how long can people take bullets? At some point in time, they'll stop. Because now they have said they're going to arrest the complete family and they're going to seize all the assets of the family, of people who are getting caught, or people who are killed, whoever they identify. As it is, they have nothing to eat. I don't know how much, what asset they will catch. There is nothing that they have. They're literally on this. So, will it weaken the regime? I don't know. Though, yes, the Ayatollah Khomeini, I'm sure, is on his last legs. He's very old now. How long he lasts? He's been desperately trying to bring in his son. And that is where I think the US, West, and Israelis missed the bus. Because his son has not found acceptance with the other Ayatollahs.
Yeah.
That has not happened. See, basically they protested. That has not happened. The council elects who the next Ayatollah is supposed to be. And the Ayatollah cannot impose and say that just because he is my son, he has to come in. And he is rather young. That fact, if they had taken that and worked on that and created a friction there at the council level, then you could have had hope. I would agree with General Dushyant. It can go either way, but at the present moment, it is, to me, it is tilted a bit towards the existing regime, not the US and the West. So I'll stop.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for these views. I think broadly what the consensus between both the generals coming out is that, look, at this point of time, the system could go any way, but it's in the favor of the mullahs. Okay, fine. I go with it completely. Let me put across a third view. And I'll raise a few issues because these issues are important. What General Rajiv Narayanan spoke about the 78-79 revolution, and this bears tremendous bearing, right? There is a connect. And there's also the previous protests 2005, 2009, 12, and 23. Masa Aminis. The first thing is what everyone should realize is the protests of 79 lasted nearly 15, 16 months. We're only in the 17th day, right? So it's early days still into this revolution. The second thing is that the earlier revolutions of Ahmadinejad's election, then the other thing about economy, and the third about Amini's death, and it was more, the fundamentals of the economy were stable at that point of time. The issues were different, right? But today, that has changed. The economy is gone. I mean, this is something one has to realize. That is why I'll still hesitate to put any weight on the government or the opposite. It's on a knife edge. Why? Today, the cost of one USD is 1.5, approximately 1.5 million real. People who in the know say that if it goes to 1.8, everything will collapse. Right? That's the thing. And the second thing is pay. The banks have collapsed. There's a thing called SEPA. SEPA controls the money flow of all these Basij and IRGC, police, everything. About 5-10 years back, there's this organization called SEPA. SEPA is a bank, call it whatever you want. They made a conglomeration of 4-5 banks and gave the money, and the pay goes through these people, and that is defunct today. If all these guards and people who guard the state don't get paid, they have no reason to work. It's a fundamental thing. And if that goes off, then all bets are off in Iran and it'll go into anarchy. I mean, that's a logical thing which can happen. A man who doesn't get paid will not work. Okay. But having said that, there are a few things which both the generals have touched and I'd like to highlight. We are talking of a singular ideology. This is a theocratic security state. And this theocratic security state has cornered everything. The contracts, the government spending, the institutions, everything is with this. And there is no opposition. There is no opposition worth the name. Right? There is no opposition either within Iran or outside Iran. This opposition is neither inspirational, like, in the case of Khomeini, it was inspirational, nor organizational. Again, organizationally, even in 1979, two forces got together in Iran to topple Shah. And those two forces were basically the communists and the theologists, mullahs. But there was a third force which was operating then, which held to both these. Who was that? Mr. Carter. The Americans were the ones who were unhappy with the Shah and they knew the Shah was out of control. They helped the Mullah come back, the Ayatollah come back from France. So it is the West through France who engineered all this. And that impetus is lacking today, as of now. We don't know what Trump is going to do. We'll discuss that. So the conditions of then are now different, but equally precarious, because a collapse of the economy of this kind has never happened so far. If that goes one step further, I don't know whether Khamenei also and his gang can do anything about it. And Pahlavi is not an option. Reza Pahlavi is not an option. Even Trump has ruled him out. So as far as the masses not coming out, well, they won't come out if they're being shot and all that. But how many more can you shoot when you have nothing to offer? And how do you get the bazaar to reopen when there is nothing getting in? There's nothing in the bazaar they can sell or buy because everything is worthless, right? So I think the situation is completely different, and the only exportable variety which Iran has is oil. If tomorrow the oil is stopped from being exported, Iran doesn't have anything to get. It doesn't have anything to go out. Its own fundamental day-to-day living is on what it produces. So there's no economy. So I think it's in a very, very, very you know bad state. But let me give the flip. The flip is, like I said, the mullahs, the theocracy, the president and his gang. He's got his own thing. The IRGC, the Basij, the police, everyone have a hand in the systems to survive because it is in their survival. It's not a transactional relationship. It's a hardcore relationship which will ensure, which has systematically ensured that there's no opposition. And even if an opposition comes in, to upset this apple cart will be well nigh impossible. And I think Trump knows this. That's why he's been prevaricating between 1, 2, and 3. So I think and Trump is not keen to take over the situation. Remember, it's not as if Trump has got everything up his sleeve because he's got Venezuela and Greenland also going simultaneously. And there are political costs to all this. So I thought I'll put all this down. While there are resemblances between the earlier protests and now, things are different in many aspects. I just tried to summarize the whole thing. Now let's see what can happen further with given what it is. What options does Trump have? Does Trump even want a regime change? Right? And if that regime changes happen, how do you think that's going to happen? So these are the questions. Or will you let Iran go into anarchy? I'll quote a Turkish guy who I heard earlier in the evening, who says if Iran goes into anarchy or instability, complete Middle East is going to go under. Right? They need some kind of stability. A, a useless Iran under this Khamenei is better than nothing. And that's the worry which many people in the Middle East have. Right. With this, let's get General Dushyant's view on what is he foresee. What are Trump's options? Your voice, please.
I think, sir, you just painted Pakistan to me in the Middle East. It is good.
That's a good one.
It is good to have a useless Ayatollah Khomeini than a chaos in Iran. I think that's a very telling statement, and also needs to be analyzed a little more in detail. First of all, let me talk about the short term option. Does want to have a regime change in the short term? My take is no, and there are few reasons for it. The first reason is that whatever he does militarily, he has to back up with boots on ground if he wants to have a regime change, or create a proxy which will go and do a regime change. Now, that kind of a influence, that kind of a risk taking, Trump has actually over the years, over even in the first term and even in the second term, has tried to avoid. Given the fact that in Afghanistan he went in for a deal with the Taliban, which was at that point in time the prime enemy of the ISF. So to me, it looks like a regime change may not be a option. A punishment to incite the internal protest and to convey to the people of Iran that look, America and by extension Israel is in favor of you all, and we will support you. So that option in the short term remains for me, I think, very much a feasible option. That is the second issue. The third issue, I think, whatever we may say, we have to grant to Trump, despite all his disruptive nature, in the sense he will say something and he will do something. His advisors will advise something, he will get back into the Oval Office, White House, and do just the opposite of what he has been advised. But let me tell you, the US is also conscious of the fact that there have been some bad experiences of regime changes. You take Libya, it has gone out of their control. You take Iraq. I think Iraq is a good example where US has actually suffered more when it did the regime change, and finally they had to call themselves off from there. They still have some presence, but it's not a happy situation in Iraq. They are believing now on the non-contact mode more than the physical boots on the ground. You take Nigeria, they have done the same thing. Now they are going after all the Qutub motivated terror groups wherever they are. Now, Qutb was, as you all know, was the founder of Muslim Brotherhood. He was not founder; he was the ideologue of Muslim Brotherhood. So, he started from Egypt. So, wherever these groups like Al Qaeda was motivated by AQ, ISIS is motivated by Qutb's philosophy. So, he's gone after that. But again, it is strike and then just hit out. I think we have given a very good model to the world in the form of Sindoor on the lighter side, that people are realizing that the boots on ground is not going to be any more the good option as far as international relations go, and as far as any regime change, physical intervention is concerned. So, in addition to that, what I have a feeling that if he goes for a military action like he did in Afghanistan, what happens? There is this nationalistic fervor which gets directed toward the interventionist. Willy-nilly, initially there will be a dango, people will change, government will change. Then Shah will start facing, or Pahlavi will start facing the same kind of opposition as Hamid Karzai started facing after they took over the government, and the Americans had to stay there for 20 years. So there's this, build up of a nationalistic fervor and a backfiring of a military intervention. Physical military intervention is always going to be there. That may be playing a little bit of a caution on his mind. So kinetic actions, limited to strikes, yes. Kinetic actions with regime change in the short term, definitely no. Maybe when the situation is absolutely ripe and there is a leader there who can be handed over the power. As of now, you find that this is a leaderless protest which is going on. A few leaders, especially here and there, are there, but one of them has been also sentenced to death by hanging as late as I think yesterday or so. So till the time they find a good leader who can take over the regime, and thereafter they can get out of Iran, I think they will continue to keep promoting this protest in ways other than kinetic. What are those? Sanctions. I think they've already started doing it. They've started putting sanctions on governments which are doing trade with it, 25%. What else? I think they will try to create a kind of a internal protest revival through Mossad, through CIA. That kind of a thing will start off. Cyber attacks was also discussed by their the group that is the planning group of advisors of Trump, where they were looking at cyber attacks on the government installation, cyber attacks on military installation. They have done it in the past, they will do it in the future. Where basically to weaken the military. If they can weaken the military through non-military manners, I think that will be a better option for them. Thereafter, covert operation. I think Mossad will be used in a big way. If you look at the past history, they killed all the nuclear scientists, top level. I think 6 of them were killed. Right from Fakirzadeh, everybody, project in charge was also killed. So that would be another action which they will start taking. This will give the protesters that that encouragement that yes, these guys are actually operating in favor of in against the Khamenei and their cabal. And finally, international isolation. I think that will also be one of the routes which they are going to adopt. Basically, ripen the Iranian state to a level where a regime change is done internally by them on their own. They just keep giving the push. They keep giving the जैसे कि मैं बोलता रहता हूँ always that पाकिस्तान को ऐसे पकाओ कि वो पक करके अपने आप ही गिर जाए नीचे. So that is the kind of thing I think Iran will also go through. So there will be some time before we see any major regime change, and the options which I have already listed to you, non-military options as well as military options, that could be a short term. Over to you.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Internal regime change, and that's an interesting thing, and which means it's going to take a long time. Uh, Not overtly kinetic, but can't rule it out. Covered kinetic also is on the cards, I suppose. Well, that's an interesting way of putting things. Rajiv, your viewers, what are Trump's options today and where it is, and then we'll see what it means for us later, right? Yeah.
So I agree with General Dushyant in as much as the specialist would look at the things how it goes. Not Trump. His desperation levels are high. The midterm elections are coming. Venezuela has been a flop show, to be precise. His energy oil companies have just refused to touch Venezuela with a barge because it is totally. And you had also shown on the map the whole length on the Ornico River, except a small portion is the one which is being tapped at the present. Rest is untapped. That itself, the ExxonMobil said they require 80 billion just to revive that, along with the refineries because it has crashed. After that, 180 million per year is needed just to maintain and sustain. We all know how thick and heavy that oil is. It needs to be blended and done. And after doing all that, they say that they cannot sell it if they need profits less than $80 a barrel. And in today's capping of $60 per barrel, who's going to buy it? So that's flopped completely. His Venezuelan operation is flopped. Fine, he has brought Maduro out there. He thought Rodriguez will lay down for him and say that, okay, yes, all. All she said is, whatever I was giving to China, I give it to you. Thank you very much. Rest, I'm going for a global tender. That's how he's not stopped his ships from blockade. They're still there. The aircraft carrier group which is there came from here, the 5th Fleet. And now he's sending from 7th Fleet, the USS Abe Lincoln. So I have no faith and trust in Trump. He can just go bonkers and do something. Will he achieve something? I don't know. Because then Dushyant has very logically laid it out. You won't achieve anything. But is he looking for something? What is he looking at for? I don't think even his closest advisors know what he is looking for. His wife may not know what he's thinking about. How can we suspect? Maybe he's just waiting. He pulled back because he must have said, go attack. The countries around said, no, we are not going to give you airspace. And his except may have said, hey, handsome, I don't even have an aircraft carrier. What do I attack with? So not only is he sending one, which was in Manila, which is coming there, it will take about 5-6 days to reach there. He's sending all the way from Norfolk. 2 of them, who after having been upgraded and refurbished, haven't even completed their training, by the way. They haven't completed the training and they're not been given, like what you say, that new raisings, you are tested and said that you are fit for war. That certificate has not yet been given, but he has sent those 2. One is Theodore Roosevelt and other, I think is Truman or what, I'm forgetting the name. These 2 he sent from Norfolk. Will he wait for these carrier groups and then do something? Because then he will say, I don't need anybody. The fear more is when he tries to pump in, or let us say he goes down the path like what General Dushyant has said, push in more anarchy. Then you get into what happened in Afghanistan, warlordism. And when you have warlordism, because when IRGC has holds on various areas and you get warlords in various places, what happens to the districts, 3-4 districts which are there, Azeri people live there, adjacent to Azerbaijan. Will Azerbaijan walk in and take that? What happens to the Kurdish districts which are adjacent to the Iraqi Kurdish districts? Will they blend with them? What happens to Sistan, Baluchistan? Will they come away and say, no, we are part of Baluchistan? So when something like that happens, then controlling things becomes very difficult. And China may not like that. because almost about 23 to 25% of its oil comes from Iran. Then it gets hit quite badly. China, I'm sure, is doing a lot of track 2 dialogues with the State Department because it's going to get hit very badly. Because whatever they were getting from Venezuela, which was the collateral, they've given them the loans earlier and they knew they can't pay, so they were taking oil in lieu. That is gone. It was 5% directly from Venezuela. Then the people also who say no, what was listed for Oman and Malaysia was also going to them. So even if I say 10%, 25%, 35%, that's massive. That's massive for China. Though they lay a claim that in April they had done railway connectivity from Xi'an all the way up to Afrin. Afrin is the dry port near Tehran. From there, it's almost about 10,000 kilometers, but it has its own problems because the gauges are same in China and Iran, but it's a different gauge when it comes into Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan. So at Kazakhstan, there is a complete transshipment because what they have is 1435 mm, and what the erstwhile Soviet Union has is the old Soviet Union tracks, which is 1520 mm. So there's a transshipment there, there's a transshipment here. The second thing you look at it is it takes about 15 days. Fine. So people build up, 15 days versus 45 days. But what they don't understand is this train length, if you take 100 tankers, that is massive, 100 tanker lengths. You require at least 10 more just to compare with a normal oil tanker, which comes in 45 days. Will you do... does Kazakhstan have that many rakes to be able to give you for transshipment? It doesn't have. It doesn't make sense. So China is really worried. And why is the region getting worried? And why do they say in the region they will have a problem? Is because Marta kya na karta, IRGC has given a threat, they will try and block the Straits of Hormuz. Now, saying is one thing, because the width, the main channel may be 33 kilometers wide, but where the big ships and all go is about 5 kilometers wide, but the depth is quite deep, varying from 60 to almost about 200 kilometers, 200 meters in depth, 60 meters to 200 meters depth. How do you block it? Initially, they were talk, they'll sink ships. How many ships are you going to sink of yours out there? At 200 kilometers, 200 meters depth, how many ships are you going to stand? Saying is one thing, but yes, they will try to disrupt it like how the Houthis did, fire missiles, this, that. So their worry is that the disruption, if it happens, then there is a global impact because 20% of the global energy requirements flows through that Persian Gulf. It flows through, whether you take gas, whether you take oil. So if you take oil, gas, it goes up to about 25-30%. That's the kind which flows through that area. So if there is any disruption, cost prices go high and the global economies take hit. And the region is worried because except for a few countries, all the others are doing quite badly economically. That if they are not able to get it, like imagine the impact on Iraq. He's not able to get his oil out. Like we have options. We are already in talks with Angola, Mozambique and others. You can increase the oil intake from them. What happens to these countries? So that is the reason why the Middle East is getting, West Asia is getting worried. But will Trump, he's a maverick. You never know what he'll do. Will he listen? Let us hope, presume that the other 2 aircraft carriers are also coming here. He has 3 aircraft carriers in the region. He doesn't need to depend because each aircraft carrier will have about 90 odd all types of aircrafts available to him. Which is, you have fighters, you have reconnaissance, you have helicopters, SIGINT, ELINT, all you have got on there. 270 aircrafts he has of all kinds. Who will stop him? So the maverick can do anything. And my reading is he is desperate to show something positive on something what he has done in a positive side before the elections come in. Otherwise, he's losing this elections. If he loses the elections, then he's a lame duck because it doesn't control the Congress, and the Democrats have their guns fixed line already ready on him. If he loses both, that is the desperation level. And unless IRGC breaks, like you had hinted at, if money is not there, if it goes up, even more than the army, I would say IRGC and Basij have to break. Moment they break ranks, then that is the death knell for Mullah. That's fine. But who next? And that is the reason why Pahlavi has made a statement. He doesn't want to rule. He says constitutional monarchy. I will be just the constitutional monarch, and we have a parliamentary form of democracy. And that is the statement he has made, that this is how we can do. Will US be happy with that? At the present moment, it doesn't seem they're happy. They want a man who they control out there. So I'll stop here.
Yeah, thanks a lot. A lot of interesting options are on the table. Let me throw a few more in because the interest there is. Look, we have to understand, like what Rajiv said, Trump is transactional. He's not political. He's not strategic. He's transactional. He's looking for short-term gains, right? The implications are long-term. Will he do that or not is a question mark. Second, any overt action, any intervention, active kinetic intervention, carries the major risk of hardening the populace and aligning the populace with the regime. In which case, you would have lost the whole story well beforehand. Okay. As far as the Iranians blocking the Strait of Hormuz and all, I have my own doubts because the moment they do that, the rest of the Middle East will come behind Trump, and that is one thing which will not. And people say block the Strait of Hormuz and all. For that, a limited kinetic action will ensure that the thing is open. It's not a big deal. Maybe in a week, 10 days, that can be secured, and it might happen. That might be the first action which might happen. Secure the Strait of Hormuz militarily, right? The next thing is, like I said, that's why what Rajiv said in the beginning, and what in fact Jan Dushyant also said. This is not a short-term action which is going to go. There's going no short-term outcomes. I think this is a long way to go. Even if following a overt action, even following a kinetic action, this is a long-term proposal. Because as much as we don't have an option to replace Khamenei and his gang, there's no option for the economy to revive. That's the other part. The economy is not reviving, and I don't think Trump and company will allow the economy to revive. I also feel so far China has no capacity to revive the economy. China and Russia both can't revive the economy. If the economy is not reviving, the situation is only going to go worse. So, if taking all this into consideration, using covert means and all that, will Trump get us out of the deal in? Will he start dealing? Because there is some talk of dealing with the Iranian regime. The deal will be based on nukes, AAO, and all that, which is sellable to the public. Okay, and he will tell the mullahs, you do what you want, and in that he might say, okay, I'll take sanctions off the block, but don't give oil to China. Even if China is forced to buy oil at market rates, it's a loser, like it's happened in Venezuela.
Yeah.
So there is a pathway in between what both these gentlemen said for Trump to emerge as a winner. And remember, the midterms are still in the thing. If he needs a political victory, all he has to do is take the nukes or whatever out of Iran, get that oil on the international market, okay, If he can do these two, and Khamenei can keep running what he wants, and he'll have a deal. I mean, and he'll do what it is. This is a feasibility, and he needs a little time for it. Probably the next 1 week, when all his 2, 3 aircraft carriers come there, and he can actually exert gunboat diplomacy, is the time when all this whole story might come. So we are in for surprises. No bets are off. We've given 3 to 4 options. Let's see how it goes. Right? There are more discussions coming up on the whole thing.
Like what
Now,
we always say, sir, we always look at 3, 4 options, but the enemy does the fourth or the fifth
the
one.
fourth one. That's how it's always there. Okay. Okay. Now, with having said this, uh, I did paint a picture last time, right? That it's good for India to stay out of all this business, because, like, China stayed out of all international problems at that point of time. They stayed out of radicalism. They stayed out of terrorism. All those, global war against terror and all that, and they progressed. Similarly, I feel India is at a stage where, if we stay out of all this, is the best thing. Let China go where it wants. Let it as it is in a corner. Let America do happen what happen. Let the Middle East do. You do your trading, you do your development, yeah, and all that. But then the fact is, Iran is next door to you. You can't ignore it. You have stakes there in Chabahar. You have stakes in North South Transit Corridor. You have stakes in the Strait of Hormuz being open. So, given all this, what are India's options and what should India do? We'll start with General Dushyant, and then, of course, we'll get to Rajiv. Dushi, yours.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Actually, in my last options bid, I missed out on one of the options which is being discussed, and you hinted on it a little bit. So that's how I recollected that option, and that's the option of moderation. That is moderated Ayatollah Khomeini, and in this they are trying to exploit Oman in it. Now, again, based on my personal interaction with some groups, I'd gone for twice to Oman for some discussions. I met their foreign minister also, of course. So I asked them, do you have a think tank? They said, no, we don't have a think tank. So that was the first answer.
तेरे ले लेते यार. You should have offered your services.
So I said that, okay, then how do you, progress as far as your international relations and things are concerned? He said, no, our foreign office does all that. So I asked him that, what's your position in the Middle East? They say that we want peace. We work for peace. We do not want war at all. And if you look at their history, I think they've been following it since quite some time. They are a country completely different from the others. So I asked them this question about the Iran thing also, and Persian Gulf, because they are on the Persian Gulf. They are on this side of the Persian Gulf.
The advantage is they are outside the Straits of Hormuz.
Yes.
Impacted.
Yes, but they are affected by being the proximity being such of that country. What they were saying is that we would do anything to get peace in this region. And there are some reports coming out that Oman is now being tapped by the West for mediating with Khomeini to give him some leeway, but in the bargain, take from him the promise of denuclearization, the promise of protesters not being, and some freedom which will satisfy the protesters. So this kind of a dialogue is behind the scene. It is going on, and I believe it is true also. So that is one option I thought I missed out. So we can just give it out to the public so that they understand that everything is not by physical brute force. There are parallel tracks going on for every problem which we are facing. Now, coming on to India, I think straight away I would say that yes, we need not poke our nose in everything which is happening around us, but Iran, we have invested far too much. Whether it is the link to Afghanistan, because now today, if we are having any kind of a dialogue, any kind of a cooperation, any kind of activity which we are doing of trade, it is by and large through Iran. So that is an important factor which we have to preserve and protect. So for, and secondly, the north-south corridor which you mentioned about it. Third is Chabahar. Chabahar, we have invested money there, although not to the extent what the Iranians wanted. They in fact wanted to penalize us, that why haven't you invested the desired amount in the given time frame of the contract, etc. They have that liability clause, etc. But still, a lot of money has got sunk of ours. So there are these issues which we cannot ignore. So hence, my take is that India must, while not actively involved in the internal crisis of Iran, externally we must ensure that either a regime change, if it takes place, it does not harm the Indian interest. B, if it is the current regime which continues, we do not lose that ground of acceptability which India has with Iran. So this is a very typical situation where I think the soft power will be more important given the linkages between Iran and India over a period of time. It's a civilizational linkage which we need to continue to maintain and harbor. That's one issue. The second issue is, I think, multilateral forums will have to be exploited to ensure that Iran gets some kind of a stability. This region gets some kind of a stability. Countries like Oman, etc., will have to be brought on one page. And let's find a solution which is not to the liking of Trump. No, I'm not being totally that way, but yes, where everybody is a win-win kind of a thing. What Trump wants, he wants to win the midterm election so that he doesn't have a situation where JD Vance has to come running to confirm who was that, Hexeth or Marco Rubio? I think it was Marco Rubio. So
Excellent.
so JD Vance had to come running. So that kind of a situation he doesn't want. So basically, for that, I think he has to have the enough fodder to ensure that he comes across in his own country, that is MAGA, as the winner in this situation. And which I feel that the moderation thing might just give him that option, where Ayatollah Khamenei, some way speaks out publicly denuclearization thing. Very difficult, but why not? I mean, anything is possible. Everything is possible. Maybe the dual pressure of military option, which the Americans are trying to build on Iran, and this back-end diplomacy through Oman might just give the way. So this is my view, where Indian interests remain safe, yet we are not in any way. I'm talking like an ambassador. Sorry for that.
No, but no, you're okay. I was the one who said there's a deal in the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah. And Rajiv, your views. Yeah, Rajiv, your views.
Yes, sir.
India.
I entirely subscribe. It's not just the north-south corridor from Chabahar. That's a connection to Afghanistan. That's a connection to Central Asia also. The selling point to the US would be the southward movement of the Central Asian oil and gas via Chabahar. He will buy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
He will buy it. And as long as he's being given control of that berth from where oil and gas is going abroad. And I think, to add to what was being said by both of you about track 2 dialogue, apart from denuclearization, I think the biggest thing he is going to put in for is to get his companies back in Iran as far as oil and gas are concerned. The Shah days.
Yes.
To get it back. If he can do that, then that will be the tremendous selling point as far as he's concerned for his midterm elections. How much the Ayatollahs are going to agree or IRGs are going to agree, that's a different kettle of fish. He is trying his track 2. He said, and it appears that they are looking at it because they have not hung that person as yet. He was supposed to be hung immediately. They have not done that. So that's an indicator that, okay, they are thinking about it. Trump may have given one set of lines, so they might come out with a counter proposal. Yes, the killing is ceased in Tehran because the people are now not coming out as much, but other provinces, it is still on. The protests are still on, but like we've always said, it is leaderless. So we have to, we anything which upsets the movement of oil and gas from the Persian Gulf affects us also. We have our dependencies on Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, Iraq. We have our dependencies there, Qatar for gas, which all gets disrupted. So it has a direct impact on us. In fact, out of the 30% of oil and gas which comes out from there, 80% of it is used by Asia. And the four leading countries which depend on them are China, Japan, South Korea, and India. But one advantage that we can get, that if it smooths out, the fourth option of track 2, then like pre-2018, you could go back to sourcing quite a lot of oil and gas from Iran. It's shorter, it will be cheaper for us. So that is the advantage you have. But yes, a stable West Asia is also what we are looking at. If we are given an option to intervene in the track 2 dialogues, we should not hesitate. That would be my take. We should not hesitate on the track 2 dialogue so that an amicable solution can be brought about. A lot of people have died. The unofficial reports are already touching 12,000 killed. So we really don't know because the internet is blacked out, everything is blacked out. Though Starlink is there and he said free downlink, it's not there. It's been blocked. So now Starlink has to be worried that who has given those blockers to Iran? Is it Russia? Is it China? And it has a direct fallout in Ukraine. If China and Russia have given it to them, then Russia can block Starlink over Ukraine. So it is people who come out, they come and say. And in between some brief moments, they're able to get a link hooked through some satellite and be able to talk. So things are not so hunky-dory as Trump is saying, people not dying. No, people are dying. People are dying. And that's a cause for worry for everybody, because the problem that the mullahs face, shift from Islam to Zoroastrianism, and some of them are moving towards Christianity.
Yes.
124 mosques have been burnt. Even before the mosques had been burnt, from the Gen Z, the mullahs were worried that 25% had lost faith on their Islam. And it's not just Shia or it's either Shia or Sunni, they lost faith in Islam. And the revival of Zoroastrianism is something that needs to be brought into track 2 to protect. Otherwise, the mullahs are going to get after them. If they have done the deal with US couldn't be bothered about Zoroastrianism, especially Trump. And they will get after them. So it's not a straight cut thing. It's going to be a tough negotiation, even track 2. And like you rightly pointed out, he's going to start forcing with gunboat diplomacy once he has his carrier battle groups there. So I'll stop here.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I thought we have a full deal today as to where things are going. I'll just cap it the way I look at it, very short. India, whichever way the cookie crumbles, we are okay, right? We are today actually at the worst position with Iran. Just think tomorrow if the sanctions are lifted out and Iran is able to get oil, we get oil from here, or dependence on Russia goes down, and that has its own dynamics. Plus the fact that China is forced then to get oil at market rates from Iran and not the deep discount, all that. Plus, we have not touched on China in this whole deal. China seems to be isolated and incapable of doing much. It's going to have a huge effect on everyone. And, its own influence, global influence. As it is, it got a hit in Venezuela. It's incapable of doing anything in Greenland. And even here, then you'll see where China is heading. That's a different story. But it's a relevant story in this whole thing. I think if you play our cards smartly, We will come out trumps whichever way the whole thing goes. And my own guess is that this is not going to have easy solutions like what both the generals have said. It's going to be a long drawn affair, and let's see how this whole story goes forward. My guess is next week we might be still discussing this with a new dimension, right? And we'll wait till then. Till then, we'll take a few questions. Yeah, Sachin, can we have those questions? There are 23 of them. Yeah. So Babji Krishnan says, I am waiting for the day when the world will produce advanced technology from us. Will it happen in my lifetime? I'm 50 years old. Rajiv, I think you are the one to answer this.
The GCCs have come in. So let them start giving out their solutions, and then you may be lucky. I don't know who among the three of us would be alive to see it.
Look, we are all 60 plus, right? Probably I'm the eldest at about 69 and hitting 70 shortly. But let me tell you, advanced technology will come in my lifetime. Yours is a far way off, right? It's not necessary we have all advanced technologies, but we'll have some. Yeah, next question, please. So, thank you. Let's assume the IRGC can be taken out. Can the regime still stand? Dushi.
Well, I have my doubts, because the one of the conditions for any nation to survive is that till the time its military is standing, it's very difficult to do a regime change. Very rarely that has happened. If you check anywhere, any instance. So therefore, it's the military if it crumbles. And in the case of Iran, as General Rajiv Narayanan has also highlighted, in addition to the IRGC, there is this Basit, which is even more ruthless than IRGC. They
And they're
are
local.
like, and they are
They're
local.
local.
They are volunteer local guard. I don't know, whatever you want to call them. That is why there has been such phenomenal reports of deaths, etc., taking place. So till these two things are there, I have my doubts if there will be a regime change without a kinetic action being taken to physically remove the power centers of Iran, whether they are in the IRGC headquarters, Basid headquarters, the Khamenei, and whatnot. The others are not that important. These three, I think, will have to be brought down.
Yeah. 12 to 10, 20,000 killed. Did they stop the executions today? We don't know. Honestly,
I'm
we
not
don't know.
talking about these killings. I'm talking of that one man who has been sentenced to death to hang.
Erman Rahman or something like that's the name. I think.
That chap has not been hung. As far
Yes.
as the killings, they're opening up with machine guns. Damn it. Not normal rifles, and they're shooting to kill.
Yeah. Yeah. Many strategic experts are saying that Trump or USA doesn't have the capability to take over Iran like Venezuela you have views. I agree. It can't be
Has
done.
he
So there's
taken
no,
over Venezuela?
he has not taken over.
He came out of Venezuela. I think we mentioned that Op Sindoor has given them a very good way. Get out of
Very
the.
good. Yeah. Yeah.
Rodriguez is saying, I will do international tender for the rest of the oil. So where is he taken over Venezuela? He can't do anything. He called Machado. She's gone there. That's it. She's there.
Good day, happy sir. Is Iran going down in similar fashion like Bangladesh? And although we don't know if someone is going to get re-elected there, but yeah, Dushi, your take.
So we have already answered this question.
Oh
Like
yeah, we
I
actually.
said, the time in the case of Bangladesh, the Bangladesh army finally withdrew, and moment it withdrew, everything went off the cork. So
Yeah,
that
next.
army has to be there. That's the condition. The third
Yeah.
tick has not taken place.
It's not taken place. Yeah, what did America? What gave America right to interfere in Iran's rebellions? Can India do the same in Bangladesh since Bangladesh is at our borders? Rajiv.
America is the big power. He wants to have his writ there, but has he interfered in their rebellions? No. Even when we say that Jimmy Carter agreed to get the Ayatollah there, it was the people on ground, the Ayatollah's network, the businessmen, the communists, and everything who were there who joined hands and did it. US didn't put their boots on ground. They tried to get their 54 hostages out when this regime change backfired on them. and that collapsed in the deserts there itself, and the helicopter crashed there. Okay, so that is why America is waiting. This rebellion is homegrown. It's not America grown. So let's be clear, and we should always be there. We have been talking about Bangladesh. Give them time to cook; they will cook themselves up. Well, Dushyant also mentioned about Pakistan. Same ditto for Bangladesh. Let them cook. Once it is cooked and right, they will fall themselves. Why should you bother about it?
Yeah.
You should bother, like what General Shankar has been saying. Concentrate on your economic development and capability development of your forces.
This is the time, golden opportunity for India. Why is the internet shut down in Pakistan? Has the US military arrived in Pakistan to confront Iran? Sree.
So I have no ways to find out this particular thing. If they have shut it down, it could be an exercise, it could be some activity which they are trying to do, or simply to cover Balochistan and KPK.
Yeah.
That is something more important, that they don't
There
want
were reports which I had heard, nothing confirmed about a division plus worth of troops being sent to the Balochistan-Iran border. That's about all that was heard. Maybe the internet shutdown is because every day in KP and other places they're getting hit so badly.
Yeah, a few days back, I think few days back they had a massive explosion in a Bharat itself, and so many people were killed. I think they're trying to be a little safe and try to tell the world that Pakistan is still a place to live in.
Yeah, not only that, you must understand that Pakistan is playing a game here. They will do their best to please Trump and America.
But the point is, from the Balochistan border, do you imagine if US has to do how far Tehran is?
Yeah. So, but he'll do his best for the simple reason he's not able to send troops to Gaza. That's out of the equation. Okay. And, Trump is going to drop him like a hot brick. So he will bend backwards to do anything to please Trump.
Yeah.
Right. Especially for airfields, for flights and all that. Yeah. Next question, please. Do you have a clear SOPs for soft versus hard power use? Thai and Cambodia, for example, fighting for control of temples or cultural heritage. Did we play any other role other than giving statements? Rajiv.
How are you bothered about temples out there?
They're all dead temples.
They have been part of your culture, but is long gone, finished. They have gone into a different culture. And they are fighting for that ridgeline.
Absolutely.
Basically, paise aate, tourists come there to make money. This is mine, that is mine. How are you worried about that? That is number one. SOPs for soft power versus hard power meaning I have not understood. Diplomacy, there is no hard and fast rule that this is how you have to work. There are so many variables. You deal with different people. Each person comes with his own thought process. You cannot have like Forge when you do your battle drills, when you're going for attack, you have a set battle drill. About that, you don't know. You can't lay down and set piece SOP कि आज सुबह उठूंगा तो मैं ऐसे करूंगा फिर दांत साफ करूंगा फिर ये करूंगा ना नहीं चलता है.
Next question.
I'm reminded of a small little anecdote. When we used to do courses, in the army, we used to say SOPs and field manuals are only made by the American army. We also do it at times. So it bounds you.
Just works till you are before you go into contact with the enemy. वो आपका SOP चल जाएगा. एक बार कांटेक्ट हो गया ना गई तेल लेने तेरी SOP.
बिल्कुल.
Yeah. Ask three generals, would US appointing a leader really calm the public and help bring peace in Iran? Strengthen the currency. If the currency really collapses, then how would it affect the oil price? Yeah.
First thing, sir, anything done by the US in any Islamic country is considered as a superimposition. This will not work at all. It is going to be. I mean, this is one of the grounds of ISIS and Al Qaeda. They used to say, who are they to dictate what we have to do? So, our enemy is the US. You must realize, whether it is Afghanistan, whether it is anywhere, why Saudi Arabia was opposed by Osama bin Laden. Far enemy. Why are they supporting the far enemy? This is a big concept. As far as your other aspect about currency strengthening, why should US do a currency strengthening of Iran? It wants it to fall. It wants. I mean, ideally speaking, it wants it to fall internally, which it should take advantage. Then try to slip in a person who is probably pro West or something like that. Even Shah, why Raza Pahlavi, why he has been pulled out of the scene, because he said there should be a referendum for monarchy or democracy. This guy is still looking at monarchy. Moment he said that, the protests have So I think there is something subtle which has to be done for Iran to stabilize.
Two prime examples in the region, sir. One, General Dushyant had already mentioned of Karzai being brought in.
Yeah.
Number two is Ahmed Chalabi, who they tried to put in Iraq. Gross
Nothing
failure.
Bilkul.
Doesn't work.
And you have to give Trump his due. He's pretty clear that he's not going to interfere. Yeah, next. If the regime collapses, where will the security forces go? Will they not be targeted by the succeeding regime? The forces have no option other than suppressing the people for their own survival. I agree with you, Vishnathan. Yeah.
So the only point, that's what I said, that if the regime collapses, you could look at warlordism, exactly what happened in Iraq also to a certain extent, and what happened clearly in Afghanistan the first time around when the Americans pulled out after Soviet Union broke apart. Warlordism. That's what will happen.
Next. Best outcome for Bharat in this scenario, Dushi. We have already outlined.
We already discussed it. Moderated Iran. I think. Moderated Iran is the best.
ये एक situation है, simple term में, चित भी मेरी, पट भी मेरी, अंटा मेरे बाप का.
Moderated Iran. That's all.
General Rajiv, sir, till help arrives for the people, what role of Turkey, Pakistan, and Israel? Any instructions from Uncle Sam? Yeah.
They are Sunnis. They try to come in. Turkeys or Pakis try to come in, then people will join up with the regime. They are Sunnis. और Sunni Shia का 36 का आंकड़ा है हजारों साल से. So they don't see eye to eye. They would not like any one of these coming in. So that's why you find Turkey trying to join the defense pact with Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. Okay.
Absolutely.
Israel, how does he reach Iran? Turkey, how does he reach Iran? He has to come through Iraq. Pakistan is the only one who has a border with Iran, but Tehran is too far away.
Yes.
Far too far away from them.
Yeah.
So,
next.
Covert, they may be doing things. Can't say.
How do you think China, Russia may counter US effort?
As of now, very difficult for them. They are just waiting and watching how the situation turned around. I think Russia is busy in its own operations. China is busy in its own economic survival. So let's see how they. In my opinion, I don't think they're going to take any action. It's going to be a neutral.
Look, China will never go military. Yeah? This is one thing which has come out in the past 1 year. China's military is good. Darana damkane ke liye in South China Sea. That's about all. Aage bolo. Next. How close is Iran to developing nuclear weapons? Are they getting any help from Russia and China? Yeah, Rajiv, your take.
The last which I knew of, they had arrived close to 70% of enrichment of uranium, after which all these places got hit. And they have brains. So let's be very clear. They're not like Pakistanis who have no brains, who need the Chinese to come and help them for their nuclear thing. Iranians में बहुत दिमाग है, ठीक है? That's why it's a first thing that was mentioned. Anything which is civilizational, those countries have tremendous amount of intelligence and IQ and how to go about doing things, because that's a civilizational thing which the civilization has passed through so many challenges to survive. So that comes in the DNA, that those brains are there. So don't underplay the Iranians that they don't have brains, please.
The biggest problem for Iran today is their finances.
Yes.
Their problem is economic. You see, again, I reiterate before we wind up, and we have a few more questions. We'll take all of them. The what Iran is not able to handle, what the mullahs are not able to handle, is the economy. That's going on a tailspin. Yeah. Next question.
Pezeshkian has openly stated that we can sit
You
and
got
talk,
no
but I
choice.
cannot help you in economy. That's what he has
Economy.
openly stated, the president.
Yeah. What is the best outcome for Bharat? Iran rejects Islam. Iran won't reject Islam. Right. Let's be very clear. Oil countries to continue to slow to India.
Flow to
Comments,
India.
please. Flow to India. Yeah, this is
How
what we
does
had
it,
spoken.
my thing is as clear. How does it make a difference to India whether Iran rejects Islam or not?
Or not. It doesn't matter.
As long as the thing settles down, whether by the end of this year or beginning next year, whenever it settles down, and oil, we are able to get oil from Iran. It will be
Iran,
so
that's
cheap.
it.
It's next door. It helps.
Yeah.
They were before
If
2018 when Trump blocked everything. They were our biggest suppliers. By the way.
biggest suppliers. If Iran oil is taken over by the USA, China is hugely dependent on Iran oil to an extent of 23%. Where will China get, and what about India's security of unstable Iran and Pakistan? Dushi.
Well, I think this we have already answered this question. US would be interested in the Iranian oil. Only thing is, China will have to foot the market rate to get the Iranian oil, and India will also have to do something like that, and also diversify to various other sources. Like that would be a reality which we have to contend with.
You see, the moment the Iranian oil comes into the market and the Venezuelan oil also has already come into the market, oil prices will crash.
Fall down. Don't take it that it will be $125 a barrel.
No, it will not be. Yeah, next. Do you see Pac Silica as some strong opposition against Chinese, and how do you see if India enters it or some gigantic geoeconomic placement? Look, Pushpak, already the new ambassador to India, US ambassador to India, has said you are part of it. Okay, how strong it will be or not, only time will tell. So let's not get involved with it. It's completely speculative at this point of time. The outlines of Pac Silica are just barely on the horizon. And what people have realized is they can't do Pac Silica without India. So things are okay. So let's wait. Don't be in a hurry. Next.
Also, please don't underplay the Chinese capabilities on chips.
Yeah.
Just don't underplay them also, please. Just because we say they're not 10 feet tall, but that doesn't mean they're 2 feet tall. Please. They are normal people like us. That is the people. And they're working towards that technology desperately. They have refused the chips of NVIDIA.
Who will replace the role of boogeyman that Iran plays, which is exploited by American military-industrial complex to sell its weapons in the region if Iran falls? Rajiv.
Are they buying? I don't think America has anything to offer that these people are buying. Morocco, by the way, some people were on the net chattering, or Morocco chala gaya. Yeah, Morocco is buying your wheeled armored personnel carrier. Tata's, you already set up their plant. First delivery has already been given to them. And from there, Greece has become interested in taking those. Okay. People are already looking at the attack guns, which Armenians are using it, and now the others also want to buy it. So what does America bring to the table? Wherever he has come here, he has come with 2-3 things: F-35s and his Javelin or Striker. If your WAP has come in out there, Striker will find it difficult to breach.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you're so that is the whole thing.
Yeah. Why can't India do operations like America to secure its oil interests? America has ensured that oil-rich countries are either a vassal state or politically unstable that can use some democracy. Dushi.
I have a very simple answer. पैर उतना ही फैलाओ जितनी
चादर बस, that's it. हमारे पास दम नहीं है.
फैलाइए जितनी लंबी रजाई, नहीं तो सर्दी लगेगी.
सर्दियों में रजाई बोल दो, गर्मियों में चादर.
नहीं तो सर्दी लग जाएगी आपको. Simple.
Today's geopolitical and geoeconomic and geostrategic situation in the US and globally are quite different when US was a superpower. So would be a blunder even for Trump standards. Your comment?
See, the basic issue is, if you look at the US when it came onto the global stage post the Second World War, that's what the State Department and the Department of now he calls War have inherited. If you're a declining power, where you find that you don't carry the same amount of punch, he's charting new territory. I'm being the devil's advocate. They are charting a new territory. The people now who have come there have no clue, like what we talk for your infrastructure, greenfield. This is greenfield area for them. They have never known partnership. They have only known allies who will listen to what you say. So we may be looking from the sidelines and thinking, saying that he's committing a blunder. But do he and his staff think that way? They've never seen such a situation, no?
Yeah.
That was donkey's years before, nobody knows, no? So now it's 80 years, 45 to now 2026. It's 80 years. They don't know anything. 8 generations have passed. I'm playing the devil's advocate for their side.
Yeah. Next. Will Dr. Hassan Rouhani be in the reckoning again? Chance hi nahi hai. Again, next. Next. At the start of the war, the West was making fun of Russian tanks and hailing the Ukrainians. But when Russia started creating graveyards of Western tanks, they started blaming the Ukrainians for not using well. What's the truth? Dushi, your take.
Well, everybody learns from mistakes. So when the Russians realized their mistakes, they have started doing what the Ukrainians were trying to do on them. And any country would like to defend its, defend its, I would say, adversity. So if the West has started losing the tanks, they have to find a scapegoat. Zelensky is a very good scapegoat for everybody. So I think as of today, let's keep it at that. It is more of a information war kind of a thing. Go for facts to the various channels and find out what exactly is happening, both in case of Ukraine and in the case of Russia. A tank which had gone off road, its brakes had failed. The Russians were trying to stop the tank, and it was played out in the Western media as the Russian actually killing civilians by rolling over them, by actually dozing over them. So such like narratives have been there in this kind of a war of Russia-Ukraine. Keep it at that. I think I don't have any comments for that.
Yeah. Why is IIT Madras doing great in R&D amongst other IITs? Rajiv, your take.
How are you saying that others are not doing great?
They're playing down
anyway. IIT Madras is very up and about on the social media. Nothing only IIT Madras is doing. All IIT.
I think IIT Guwahati is doing well. IIT Kanpur is doing well.
All are doing well. It is just that IIT Madras is doing a lot on social media. We also have our own channel where you play, you interview your scientists and others who play. I'm sure the other IITs are also doing it, but just to say the other IITs are not doing it, I'm sorry. I won't.
This question is coming from the Chiefs press conference, where there was an IIT Madras question shooted at him, and where he went to IIT Madras, and it was basically related to that. What
are the question? I didn't even hear that.
It was something Ramjet.
Okay.
So I didn't want to mention it here, but it was related.
It's all over the social media. IIT Madras has also taken it out now.
This is called confirmation bias. Again, it would have biased him to say yes, it's only IIT Madras.
No. All IITs are doing good.
In its own way. They're all doing, and they're all doing a wonderful job. Please.
Yeah. Next. Congratulations to all three generals on Army Day. Sena Divas saw the parade. Rashtra Sarvoch, Sarvatram. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Saurabh, for your views. We've all served for the nation and nothing else. And we'll continue to serve the nation. And I must tell you, all three of us are putting in our best beyond our service to contribute for the nation. And I'm sure that everyone in the army who's worn a uniform has nothing but the nation in view. Yeah, next. Thanks a lot, but. Sirs, good day. Do you see soon Europe will be the new Middle East and vice versa? Regards. हाँ जी वो जिस तरीके से वहाँ इस्लाम फैल रहा है
slowly it is coming out. My fear is only for UK. The others are, the governments are now pushing back. Okay, as in Europe. In Europe, it is more Western Europe. Okay, Eastern Europe did not take in so many of these people. So Eastern Europe doesn't face this problem. Western Europe, the pushback has started. Two countries worry. First, major is UK. Because the police is hesitant to go act against these people because the politicians still blindly are using them as vote banks. By the way, the Conservative Party is losing their people and they're going into the extreme right Reform Party. That is the shift that is taking place, that Conservatives are moving lock, stock and barrel into kicking out themselves from the Conservatives, that the people there are not listening, that country is under threat, and they're moving into the Reform Party, which was considered extreme right wing. That is happening. Then just imagine, I just read a report the other day. There was a British girl, less than 16 years, who was picked up by this grooming gang. You're talking of grooming gang, you're not stopping it. She was being gang raped. 200 Sardars, Sikh boys, came and saved that girl. The police is standing and watching. They are scared not only of the grooming gang, they are scared of the Sardar Sikh boys who came there and saved her. No white man came. 200 Sikh boys came and saved that girl and pulled her out. This is the situation in UK. That is where I'm getting worried about UK. France has its own problem. They have an issue there. Paris burns. So how he is going to push back, what he is going to do is different. But rest of Europe, they are pushing back. Rest of Europe, they are pushing back.
Yeah.
Europe
The critical one will be German. The critical one will be Germany.
And you say vice versa. You think the rest of the Muslim countries are going to become? No. There is one MBS who's doing what he is doing. After him, will the others follow that path?
We don't know.
Germany has woken up very late.
Yeah, they have woken up late. Germany has woken up late. But at least they have woken up.
Yeah.
The Britishers are seeing it but doing nothing.
Yeah, I mean, they were the first to be affected. Ghettoism started in UK, actually.
Yes.
They were the first to see the...
Can you believe it? A Christian king who's supposed to be the head of the Protestants in his palace, welcoming them and saying Assalamu alaikum. That speaks 1,000 words.
Okay, I think.
Yeah. Sir, Munni badnaam hui, but still visa ban. we'll talk about it.
भाई ये तो
हीरा मंडी पन्ना मंडी
बिल्कुल ये तो बिल्कुल आपको कंफर्म कर रहा है. It is confirming you that what US does on ground, watch that, right? Visa ban किस लिए किया है? A number of countries have come as part of that.
75 total.
75.
So these are actions which people take based on ground situation. They all know who is the fountainhead of terrorism here. Whatever you are saying in Pakistan is a tactical move to secure interest, both business as well as geopolitical.
Yep. Next. General Rajiv, your opinion on gas turbine engine tanks, T-80 and Abrams.
Gas turbine is a guzzler, bhai, and desert mein fail hai. Because gas turbine requires a very clear filter when you intake so much of gas and air. So in deserts and all that, the terrain that we have, it fails. I can't keep changing every day my filter here. Sorry. It guzzles a lot of oil. No. Hybridization is the way ahead. That is what everybody is working on. That is the way ahead, not gas turbine.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks a lot. I thought we had a terrific discussion. I'd like to thank all viewers. If you like this podcast, do subscribe to all three channels, right? Wherever you're watching from and also press that like button and all that. And we'll wait till next week. Next week, if all goes well, we shouldn't be speaking of Iran. But my guess is we'll continue to speak of Iran. I have no this thing. With this, thanks a lot. Have a great time and Jai Hind to all of you. And namaskar.
It all depends on the maverick on the other side of Atlantic.
On the side of the Atlantic.
He'll keep giving you fodder, don't worry.
I don't worry. Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Sachin.